Okay, and then finally here, we don't need your cars, we don't need your lumber, we don't need your energy. Oh, sorry, there's 2 more points, so we're going to just break this little bit down into 2 points. Cars, yes you do. Lumber, yes you do. Energy, yes you do. Should we go look it up? Should we? We might as well. Okay, what's the first one? I can't remember. It's cars, that's it. US Canadian Auto. Let's have a look. So about 10% of vehicles produced in North America are made in Canada. And the US auto industry sources about 10% of its manufacturing from Canada. So that's like parts that are made and stuff. In 2023, Canada produced 1.5 million vehicles, making it the 11th largest vehicle producer in the world. Interesting. Canada is heavily dependent on exporting vehicles outside of its border. Yeah, 'cause it's kind of like uninhabitable, a lot of it. Do you know what I mean? Got to get like snow skis and stuff to actually get around. That was a joke. Okay. Canada and Mexico both have a part in the auto industry in America. Which I think is probably where like a lot of Americans are like, oh well, it doesn't even matter because we can make our own cars and stuff. Yeah, that is absolutely true. It's just you will only be making certain ones, and they'll most likely be Teslas. Oh my gosh, here's a good point. Just before we move on to lumber, yeah. So just before we move on to that, here is just a fantastic point, okay? What car is 100% made in the USA? While several automakers got their start making cars in America, you won't find any vehicles on the market that are 100% American made. Today, manufacturers outsource their car production, so brands with American origins now make their cars in other countries, and foreign brands outsource some production in America. Now, again, I understand where people are coming from. Well, let's bring these things back to the US, right? Let's bring Dodge manufacturing and Chevrolet manufacturing and Mack. Are Mack trucks American? I actually don't know many other ones. It's just they're not very prominent here in Europe, obviously, because our roads are too small and the fuel thing would be exorbitant, and we also just have rules against what we are allowed on our roads because of trying to not mess up the environment. So I can understand what people are saying about let's bring those things. Nothing. It's not 100% American made. It should be 100% American made. Fine, like whatever. Like that's like a nice idea and stuff, and vaguely, yay, let's boost our country and our economy. But the parts that you need still are going to come from other places. The materials that you need, even if you wanted to make the parts in-house in America, would still be needed. Okay, lumber. US Canadian lumber. And now I know a lot of America has trees. Okay, you guys got lots of trees, and I love your trees, and I love the redwoods. Those absolutely are my favourite tree, just because they're so big. I can't even put my arms around it. But I just want to know how much... there it is. How much of US lumber is from Canada? A critical ingredient in the home building industry, of course, and the United States sources about 30% of the softwood lumber it uses annually from Canada. Lumber imports from Canada are already subject to countervailing and anti-dumping duties of 14.5%. Countervailing and anti-dumping duties, as in like trying to stop people from dumping it and stuff like that. If we put a tariff on it, then it will put people off maybe bringing so much of it in and just dumping it, something like that. But yeah, I did just want to see how much. So it's about 30%. So we've got 10% of auto industry and auto production or whatever from Canada is going to the US. We've got 30% of lumber going from Canada to the US, specifically softwood lumber, which is the one for building houses and stuff. So US Canadian lumber, and the other one is US Canadian energy. Now we already know that the surcharge that's being added it's going to affect 1.5 million homes. New York, Michigan, Minnesota. Okay, so 2023, Canada provided 58% of the volume of hydrocarbons imported by the US. 58%! Sorry, I totally just glossed over that number. Wow. More specifically, in 2023, Canada provided 60% of the crude oil and close to 100% of the natural gas imported by the US. So how much, what about now? Okay, so here's the statistics from Until 2024. Perfect. That's what I wanted. I just wanted to be able to get as sort of the most recent study data. So the United States imported approximately 33 terawatt hours of electricity from Canada in 2023. Figures have fluctuated throughout the period of consideration, peaking at more than 68 terawatt hours in 2015. I wonder what that was for. Canada accounts for approximately 90%. Thank you. That was the part that I was looking for here. Canada accounts for approximately 90% of annual electricity imports in the US. That isn't to say that the US cannot generate it for itself, but that is still an immense amount. Most of the imported energy comes from, most of the imported electricity comes from Canada. So we've got 10% of the auto industry coming from Canada. 10% of Canadian auto industry goes to America. It's not that America gets 10% of their auto industry from Canada necessarily, but 10% of what Canada generates in auto industry goes out to America. 30% of softwood lumber for construction, housing specifically and stuff, comes from Canada. And of the exports of the imports of energy that America does do, 90% of it is from Canada. So to go back here, we don't need your cars. That might be true to a certain extent, but the parts that you need and the resources that you need to create the parts even and stuff are still going to have to come from elsewhere, and it's very likely it'll be much more expensive from other countries who know America or is trying to, or has a lot of money or whatever, or is trying to get a lot of money. It might be a lot harder than with those who used to be just your bestest brothers up to the north. So I don't think it's 100% true that America doesn't need Canada for cars, but I will say I do think that it is going to be a heck of a lot more difficult to get it up and running without Canada. Okay? We don't need your lumber. Again, 30%? Yeah, I guess you guys could like grow a whole bunch more, but obviously that takes a while. You can't just like grow a tree overnight, especially the kind of trees that I am assuming you would need to build houses. So, do you need their lumber? Yes, you do. You at least need it for a while until you can set up your own. Same thing with cars, really. Fine, you want to have your auto industry inside the borders of America where you are creating, generating, and producing and exporting the cars and all. Nobody wants to buy your cars, by the way, America, just so you know. Most anybody out here wants to buy in the rest of the world is a Chevrolet Camaro that is yellow with black racing stripes, okay? And that's just us nerds. We just can't fit this stuff on our roads, okay? It's not even personal, it's physics. So again, whilst you say you don't need cars, you say you don't need the lumber, but you kind of do, at least for a little while, until you can set yourself up. At least say it like that, yeah? And we don't need your energy. That one is just demonstrably not true. Again, until you can find a way to generate it for yourself, which is going to take a long time. We're not talking about 6-month projects here. We're talking years and years of setting stuff up and reorganizing both infrastructure and, all of the paperwork stuff and all of that. Yeah, bureaucracy. So yeah, it's that's going to take a long time. Right? And imagine having to do all of those 3 things at once. We're trying to bring the auto industry back here and recreate the face of American auto industry, as well as growing a whole bunch of trees, because now Canada's not giving us the 30% that we normally get from there, so we've got to wait a few years for the trees to grow, or maybe just cut down a whole bunch of ones that are there already. Yeah. That's what getting rid of the regulations is for. And when it comes to energy, yeah, you could take your time and generate it and build whatever it is you need to build, but it's still going to take time. You absolutely need Canada. You at least need Canada for a while, and let's face it. Is this plan actually going to go through, Donald Trump? Are you actually going to make it all the way to setting up your own infrastructure for cars, lumber, and energy? He's too busy playing golf, mate.
Oh, he shanked it.
And then finally here, the very end one, very soon you will find that out. That part is not only not true, it's just that it's a massive projection. Like, I feel like at that last moment, right, let him talk, and then he gets to that last moment, and very soon you will find that out, and I just quickly want to hold up a mirror so he says it to himself, because I'm like, oh, yeah. You're hitting the nail on the head with that one, mate. It does apply to you, and less so Canada and Mexico and various other countries as well. Obviously, we will be affected The whole world needs each other. You know what I mean? The rest of the world is not interested in this idea of America first. Okay, America first, then America alone. A lot of Americans who have that extreme point of view think that it's America first over everyone else. America first as in let's sort our country out. America first as in let's identify some fraud and some waste. Okay? America first as in, do you know what? We've had this American dream idea for the last 250 years. It's about time we actually started bringing it into reality for all people, etc., etc., etc. No. It's America first as in number one. It's not America first as in prioritizing. It's America first as in sports day, 100 meter, America's first. Shot put, America first. High jump, America first. Long jump, America first. Swimming, America first. Rock climbing, America first. That's what it is. That's what they mean when they say America first, is they just want to be at the top of the list for everything in everything. So yeah, if you've got that perspective of America first, Donald Trump, essentially what you are saying is America alone.